Hey, welcome back to the show. My name is Kim Peek, and I'm so excited that you are back for another episode of Paddle Sports Lifestyle. Before I get into the more exciting details of what's transpired over the last week, let me catch you up on the transportation saga. I found a solution. I know, super exciting. I actually feel super accomplished about this. If you've been following along, you know that I was feeling pretty defeated. I picked up my kayak on April 6th, and in the first week, I realized I am not tall enough or strong enough to lift a 14-foot kayak onto the roof of my Jeep, even with my fancy Yakima load assist system. I knew this was unacceptable, and I wanted to get a lot of time in the water without having to wait around for someone to help me load and unload. So that meant that I was going to have to solve this problem or sit around at home getting all grumpy because nobody was ever available to paddle at the same times that I was available. So last week I got a trailer hitch installed. And by the way, the Jeep dealer wanted to charge me $1,500 to do this. Fortunately, I asked around and realized that that was excessive. And some people recommended that I go to U-Haul. U-Haul also installs the hitch and does the wiring. So I made an appointment and I got a next day appointment and $500, and an hour and a half later, I had a trailer hitch. $500 compared to $1,500. So that I felt like was victory number one. Plus, I got it installed super quickly. Now, the other cool thing was that I found a kayak trailer on Facebook Marketplace. And it retails for $1,200, and the owner sold it to me for $750. It looks practically new, and I felt like I got this really great deal because she also included a spare tire and a little jack that helps lift the trailer onto the hitch, which makes it much easier for me, much more manageable for me to move around all on my own. So I found this trailer on Facebook Marketplace, and I didn't have a hitch. And so I started calling around asking my friends because I didn't want to lose this deal on this trailer. And I felt like it was a major achievement because as I started calling my friends saying, hey, who has a trailer hitch? I had a few people who did. And in those conversations, what I discovered was that being able to load and unload your kayak by yourself is a game changer. I had friends, I cannot tell you the number of friends I had who said that they own kayaks, but they never take them out because why? They can't transport them. So I have the trailer hitch, I have the new trailer, and I felt like I did a lot of problem solving for 1 week. And patting myself on the back here, in the week that I've had the trailer hitch installed, I've been on the water with my kayak 4 times, and it was amazing. Now, I know not everyone will have the same problems I initially had. My transportation issues are really due to my lack of height and the fact that I jumped into a 14-foot boat because I had this goal for training for the MR340. And I needed a boat that would be a good everyday boat, plus a boat that would be able to handle that race. Now, you might never choose to race or do endurance kayaking or want to have a longer boat. So I get that. But as I go through my struggles, I want to share with you the problems that I've had so that you can see it's possible to overcome. But at the same time, I don't want my struggles to discourage you or make you think that this is a ridiculously expensive sport to get started in. Because, by the way, I was worried because I wasn't seeing a lot of used kayaks in Facebook Marketplace, in the kayaking forums, in the MR340 forum. And so before April, I hadn't been seeing very many at all. Now, there are tons of people selling old boats. They're upgrading their boats. They're getting rid of boats. They're getting rid of boats that have been sitting in their garage collecting dust. And you can get some really great deals on a boat. You just got to keep your eyes out. So you can get a high-quality boat for fairly inexpensively. So keep that in mind too. I just want you to know that it doesn't have to be this massive expense. I've been spending more money, probably also because I'm in this big fat hurry to get on the water because I have a deadline that we are working against. So I also want to include a link in the show notes to something that a friend of mine is using. It also doesn't have to be expensive. You don't need a rack. You don't need an expensive roof rack system. You don't need a trailer. There are other ways. Again, if you're tall enough, if you have the strength, there are other ways to transport the boat. Also, if your car is not as tall as mine, if you have a lower vehicle, that also makes it easier. So I'm going to include a link in the show notes to something that's called a soft roof rack pad. It includes tie downs, and the pad keeps the top of your car and your boat from getting scratched. And it's basically, people will use pool noodles and string a rope through them, and it kind of can act as some bars to put your boat on. This is an upgraded version of the pool noodle. It's kind of like a foamy thing with some nylon casing around it that loops through your windows, through your car, and ties around at the top. Anyway, I'm butchering that description, but it is a much less expensive way to transport your boat if you're looking for cheaper ways to do things. So anyway, now I'm on a roll with kayaking, and we can get into the fun stuff. What I'm most excited about, though, right now in this moment is how I feel. I am on a high from my new life. Have you ever heard that quote or seen any of the TikToks where people say, you don't often realize you're living in a moment until it becomes a memory? That is how I feel right now, except I'm fully aware that I'm in the middle of a huge transformational season of my life. My kayaking adventure so far reminds me of my first summer of triathlon. My friends and I trained all summer, and every day was exciting because every day held something new to learn, or we experienced something that we had never done. Our first open water swims, longer and longer bike rides, learning how to change flat tires, conquering bigger and bigger hills, every high, every low. It was all amazing because we were getting stronger and creating memories that still bond this group over 10 years later. And even though we are all older and nearly everyone has moved on to different activities, we make a point to get together for an activity once a month. And maybe that doesn't seem like much to you, but think about how amazing it would be to make a point to stay in touch with and actually get out and do things with groups of people from your past. Life goes in stages. Friendships ebb and flow. The people who were super important in your life a few years ago might not be the same group of friends or important people in your life that you have today. But if those friendships meant something to you, at least to me, it's worth holding on to. So because of this other major life memory, the summer I got into triathlon, several of us still call that the most amazing summer of our adult lives. I think I'm going into my kayaking adventure fully aware of it, just like training for my first endurance events, my first 5K, my first half marathon, my first triathlon. I am aware this time that this is life-changing. You never get another first time. So I'm making sure, or doing my best at least, to savor it all. The good, the hard, the disasters, all of it. So here's what I hope you'll take away from today's episode. Try something new. Choose a big challenge. Pick something that seems like a stretch. Now, kayaking alone by itself may or may not seem like a huge challenge for you. It might just be like an everyday thing and you're like, Kim, I don't get what the big deal is. But for me, by making the MR340 part of my summer plans, it accomplished a few things for me. First, I had a time deadline. I couldn't wait around until the water warmed up in June to get started. I had to pick a boat and be in the water earlier when the water temperatures are still uncomfortable. It's April. It's windy. The water is cold. But I am doing the thing. Also, number 2, I don't have the luxury of throwing my boat in the garage and waiting weeks to solve a problem. I have to be capable of paddling 340 miles by August 1st. So any problem that pops up needs to be addressed ASAP so it doesn't keep me out of the water for an extended time. I don't get the luxury of procrastination with this goal. So these 2 things have forced me to focus. I already have had to say no to other things that I want to do because I have chosen this race as my focus. So I can't run that half marathon in June that I wanted to run. I can't do this long cycle event in late July. They conflict with other training plans, other practice races, other group workouts that I have scheduled. And we know this about anytime you say yes to something that's important, you're saying no to other things. And so I think it's also indicative of just other things that we try to do in life, whether you're trying to start a business or go back to school, whatever that important thing is, that's what you have to focus on at that time, and other things have to go. It is okay to go all in on something. Our life doesn't have to be completely balanced every moment, every day, every week, every month. You'll go in ups and downs. You'll go in cycles. And so right now, I am all in on this kayaking thing, and I am super excited. And because I know I'm living in a moment right now, I am making a point to enjoy the journey. Crossing the finish line in August is going to be amazing. It's going to be a huge accomplishment, but nothing in life is about the destination. Finish lines are cool, achievements feel incredible, but we will feel more fulfilled when we learn to appreciate the journey. When we learn to relish the baby steps, to savor all the tiny achievements and feelings and friendships that change us along the way. And you will be changed. Taking on something new changes who you are. In the case of something like the MR340 or a new hobby that causes you to really think and learn new things, you become more resilient and more confident. Every struggle is an opportunity to problem solve, to find a way to overcome that situation, to find your way through a challenge. And over time, you add up enough of those little achievements and you start to feel pretty darn badass. And that carries over into your entire life, all the things that you do. You get physically and mentally stronger. Man, oh man, oh man, are my arms and back feeling all this paddling. By the end of the summer, I am thinking I'm gonna have my abs back too. But you get stronger mentally, but also physically. I mean, having to lift up this kayak, all the things I'm learning, these are all new skills, all new muscle groups that I haven't used in my typical endurance activities or in my typical day. You also, when you take on something like this, you make new friends. The people I have met kayaking so far are some of the kindest, most generous people I've ever met. Everyone has been so eager to share their knowledge, and you can always find someone to join you on the water if you're connected with a paddling club. So I am part of the Paddle KC Paddling Club. It is phenomenal, and wherever you are, I just recommend that you find a paddling club, an active club, where you can learn from people, find people to encourage you, find that friendship, and find people to join you on the water. And then also, your world becomes bigger as you realize the possibilities are greater than what you initially thought. I was sitting with a group last Wednesday afternoon after our paddle session. We decided we were going to go to a restaurant that was down the street from the lake called Martin City Brewery. We were just going to go sit down, have a snack, have some drinks. And all the people were swapping stories about all of their kayaking adventures. This one guy was showing us pictures of the manatees that were swimming around and under his kayak. And I love manatees, and so I was fascinated. And it has been, now that I have started to see all these possibilities, it has become a new bucket list adventure for me. And it's funny to me because when I started this kayaking thing, I saw that MR340 documentary. None of these things were on my radar. I just thought, oh, this is like a really cool race. I want to do it. Wouldn't that be awesome? But now these things are on my radar. Things like kayaking with the manatees, navigating rapids, learning how to do rougher waters, kayak camping. These are things that I never thought of, that were not on my radar, not part of my personal reality. And now I am so excited to think about how I'm going to learn and experience and all the things that I'm going to experience as I decide to take my kayak on other kinds of adventures. So it opens up your world to experiences and people and possibilities that you might not have ever thought of. Plus, whatever you choose, if it's an active outdoor thing, it's good exercise. It's probably great stress relief. And it's a way to have fun. And isn't it important in life to have things that we look forward to do things with friends, to get outside and to have fun? My wish for you is to dream big, challenge yourself, live life to its fullest. Whether that's paddle sports or something else you might enjoy, get out there and push your limits. Make your life an epic adventure. Until next time, get out there and do it anyway.